The Akita's dignified presence often hides a complex social structure rooted in ancient instinct. Many owners mistake this independence for a desire to dominate, leading to critical handling errors. This misunderstanding stems from the concept of alpha behavior, a term widely popularized yet frequently misapplied to canine social dynamics, especially with primitive breeds like the Akita. For decades, the prevailing belief was that dogs form rigid, linear hierarchies with a single alpha leader at the top. This model, derived from early studies on captive unrelated wolves, suggested that owners must establish dominance over their dog to prevent behavioral problems. However, modern ethologists and canine behavior specialists now understand that domestic dog packs, and especially the human-dog relationship, function very differently. The social structure is far more fluid, context-dependent, and based on relationships rather than a constant struggle for power. For the Akita, this distinction is crucial. Bred for guarding, hunting large game, and operating independently in harsh environments. The Akita possesses a naturally confident and assertive temperament. They are not inherently seeking to dominate their human family in an alpha struggle. Instead, their behaviors are driven by genetics that favor self-reliance, resource protection, and a strong sense of territory. An Akita might guard its food, its favorite resting spot, or a particular person not as a bid for pack leadership, but as an instinctual act of resource management. They are genetically wired to be discerning and possessive of what they value. Misinterpreting these instinctual behaviors as a challenge for dominance can lead owners down a dangerous path. Using confrontational techniques such as physical corrections, staring contests, or the notorious alpha roll is particularly risky with an Akita. These methods directly oppose the breed's nature. An Akita, when faced with what it perceives as an unwarranted challenge or threat, is genetically predisposed to push back, not to submit. This escalates conflict, erodes trust, and can provoke the very aggression the owner is trying to prevent. The dog is not fighting for rank. It is defending itself against a perceived threat from its caregiver. True leadership with an Akita is not about dominance, but about building a relationship of mutual respect and clear communication. Effective owners act as calm, consistent, and benevolent guides, not as authoritarian rulers. This involves setting clear, predictable boundaries from a young age. For instance, teaching an Akita a weight cube before meals doesn't establish the human as alpha. Instead, it teaches the dog impulse control and reinforces that the human is a reliable provider of resources. Similarly, managing access to furniture or prime resting spots is not about showing the dog who is boss, but about establishing household rules that prevent resource guarding from developing. Early and extensive socialization is non-negotiable for mitigating risks associated with the Akita's guarded nature. From puppyhood, they must be exposed to a wide variety of sights, sounds, people, and other animals in a positive and controlled manner. This helps them build a library of safe experiences, reducing their innate tendency to view novelty with suspicion. Socialization for an Akita is not about forcing them to be social butterflies. It is about teaching them neutrality and confidence in different situations. It helps them learn to differentiate between a genuine threat and a benign new experience, preventing them from defaulting to a defensive or aggressive posture. However, owners must recognize the Akita's inherent dog selectivity. Many Akitas, particularly same-sex pairs, do not coexist well with other dogs, a trait directly linked to their history as independent hunters and guardians. This is not a failure of training or a sign of a flawed alpha dynamic. It is a core component of the breed's temperament. Forcing an unwilling Akita into dog park scenarios or off-leash interactions is a recipe for disaster. Responsible ownership means understanding and managing this trait, not trying to extinguish it through force. It involves protecting the Akita from situations where its instincts might be triggered and protecting other animals from the Akita. Training should focus on positive reinforcement and cooperation. Akitas are intelligent and capable learners, but their independence means they need a reason to comply. They respond best to training that feels like a partnership. Using rewards such as treats, praise, or access to a favorite toy motivates them to work with their owner. This builds a strong bond based on trust and positive association, instead of commanding obedience through intimidation. The owner becomes a source of positive outcomes, making the dog more willing to offer desired behaviors. This approach nurtures a stable temperament and a reliable companion. Understanding the Akita's body language is paramount to preventing conflict. Their signals can be subtle. A stiffening body, a hard stare, a slight lip curl, or a high, rigid tail are all warnings that the dog is uncomfortable. An owner who recognizes these early signs can de-escalate the situation by creating space or removing the trigger. Ignoring these signals, or worse, punishing the dog for communicating its discomfort, forces the Akita to escalate its response. Growling is a critical piece of communication. Punishing a growl teaches a dog not to warn before it bites. In the home environment, structure and predictability are key. Akitas thrive on routine, consistent feeding times, predictable walk schedules, and clear household rules create a sense of security. This stability reduces anxiety and the likelihood of behaviors associated with stress, which are often mistaken for dominance challenges. But an Akita that knows what to expect is a calmer, more balanced dog. This predictable environment reinforces the owner's role as a reliable leader without resorting to confrontation. The dog learns that its needs are met consistently, reducing the impulse to guard resources or challenge boundaries. The concept of the alpha has largely been replaced by a model of parental guidance in modern dog training. A good owner provides for their Akita's physical and emotional needs, sets fair and consistent rules, and protects them from harm. They manage the environment to prevent problems before they start. This means securing valuable resources to prevent guarding, using leashes and fences to prevent roaming, and carefully supervising interactions with strangers and other animals. It is a role of responsible stewardship, not one of dominance. Ultimately, the greatest risk with an Akita is not the dog's desire to be alpha, but the owner's failure to understand its true nature. This powerful and loyal breed requires an owner who is knowledgeable, patient, and committed to a relationship built on trust. Applying outdated dominance theories to an Akita is like trying to solve a complex puzzle with the wrong pieces. It only creates confusion and conflict. When owners set aside the myth of the alpha and instead embrace their role as a wise and benevolent guide, they unlock the Akita's full potential as a devoted and dignified companion.